need to promote your business. And the way that you promote your business is just by sharing social proof. What are you doing for your clients? How are you working together? What problems do they have? Why did they come to you? And how are you solving the problems together? So if you talk about that, then people are going to understand that you can potentially give them the same type of results and tackle the same type of problems with them. So like you need to make sure that your content is covering those things. So the best way to start figuring out what to actually make content about so that you cover those buckets is through your conversations. The conversations that you are having on an everyday basis.
Danny Delvecchio, welcome to the Inner Entrepreneur Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Paul. I'm excited to be here this morning, or for afternoon for you, as we established.
Yeah, it's afternoon for me. Danny, you're the video guy. You're the video guru, and I know you're all about helping founders promote their businesses via video. So here's my personal experience I'm going to share with you because I think I finally found the guy who can answer this. I'm in an organization in Ireland called EO, which is the Entrepreneurs Organization. There's about 45 of us in this. You have to be an entrepreneur of a certain scale to be in this organization. Worldwide, there's about 18,000 members in this organization. So the local president picks up the phone to me during the summer and he goes, "Hey, Paul," he knows I have a podcast. He knows I have a YouTube channel. He goes, "I have this great idea." He said, "I want the members in Ireland to connect, to get to know each other better." He said, "So here's my idea. We're going to set up a private YouTube channel. You can't access it unless you're one of our group. And what I want you to do is to do a short interview with the guys. Maybe 5 minutes, just, hi, Danny, how are you? What's your business? What do you do?" So that when we turn up to a conference or something together and you go, "God, that guy, Danny, I spoke to him for 5 minutes. What does he do?" And we would have a resource. So, very private, very internal. I said to him, "That's a great idea. I can help with that." So that's cool. So I and one or two other guys going to help me with this reached out to the members to go, "Hey, we're going to do this video. We'll ask you these 5 or 6 questions. It's very casual. It's very informal. And only us will have the link. So this is not you coming on my podcast. This is not you doing a video on LinkedIn. So very, very private." So I thought this is a great idea. So I sent my invitation out and I was stunned by the response. Now, I'm sure you're not stunned at all by what I tell you, but I was stunned by the response because I'm talking to entrepreneurs. I mean, these are very successful, confident people. And my reaction from some people is, "No, I'm not doing that." 1 or 2 people go, "I think it's a great idea, but I do not have a face for video." And people I know really well have said, by the way, we got a lot of people to do it. But a lot of people said straight up, "No, I'm not going on video." A couple of people who I know well reached out to me and said, "But, I don't really have anything to share of value that I should go on video." I'm banging my head looking at these guys going, "Are you kidding me? I mean, I know these people. Are you kidding?" "No, I've nothing of value to share." And then even the people that did come on, a couple of them recorded the video and after said, oh, I don't think I did well there." So I was completely stunned by how terrified people are of video. Does that surprise you at
No.
all? No. Okay, the podcast. Thank
See,
you.
no, it doesn't. And really, there's 3 reasons that people don't do video content, right? Number one is people are like just deathly afraid to get on camera. And it's funny that way because people are on Zoom all the time and have no problem with it at all. But the second that you tell them that they are recording a video that may potentially go somewhere else or be online or whatever it is, it's like they are a different person. And that's ultimately how my business started. Is because I had a friend, my buddy Sal, who is a real estate agent. And this guy is one of the most charismatic and like best looking movie star good looks, right? And one of the most charismatic and well-spoken people that you'd find. And I said to him, if you want to build your brand on social media, we got to start doing videos. And he's like, I really dread that. And I'm like, okay, well, look, here's the thing. I'm just going to give you a quick topic, a quick question to answer. All I want you to do is hit the button on your phone, record it, send it to me, and then I'll walk you through and show you what you need to do to edit it. And he sends me this video, and I'm like, it was the worst thing I had ever seen in my whole life. I'm like, where? I'm like, where's Sal? Like, where's the
Who is
Sal?
this
Like, where's
guy?
the Sal I know? Where's my friend Sal? Right? Um,
Yeah. So his personality just didn't come across in the video. He turned
just
it off.
yeah, he was just so nervous and like just not
Yeah.
like himself, and it was just horrible.
Mm.
And I was like, all right, Sal. I'm like, I got an idea. I'm like, why don't you come with me? I'm like, I'm going to send you a link, and I want you to come into this studio with me. And I just want to have a conversation back and forth. I'm just going to ask you some questions about your business, real estate, whatever. You don't even need to look at the camera. Just look at me and have a conversation. And we had a 20-minute conversation, and we got enough footage to get 10 videos. And that was the moment that I knew, like, okay, I got something here. This is a
Mm.
potential business. And I started doing this for so yeah,
Let me stop you there for a moment, Danny. So what changed? Because when he came into the studio to talk to you, you switched the cameras on, you turned the mic on. What changed for Sal in that
because
moment that allowed him to
because
be
we were
natural?
just having a conversation.
You were out for a beer. It was the same
Exactly.
chat.
And
Yeah.
that's the hang up that most people have when they go to start doing video, is that they think they need to put on some kind of persona and some kind of performance, and that they need to be like a movie star actor. No, that's not the case. In fact,
Mm.
people don't even relate to that type of content nearly as much as they relate to the more conversational style of video. There's two styles of video now on social media. You've got the video where I'm going to speak directly to the camera, and I'm going to give you my top 3 tips for making videos online. And
Mm.
or there's this style that we are doing right now, a conversation. And the people that are watching it are almost like a fly on the wall listening in to your conversation. And
Mm.
that first style, that lecturer style, where you are going to, again, talk into camera and give your insights and give your tip, it's really hard to get good at that. And it takes a lot of time
Yeah.
and a lot of practice. But for people that, but if you do the alternate style of video, which is this kind of just laid back conversational style, you don't need any practice. All you got to do is have somebody on the other end and share your insights and share
Mm.
your stories and talk about what you're doing in your business and talk about what you're doing with your clients. And the pressure to like perform melts away, and you don't have to worry about it. And that's the difference between like being able to create high quality video content without having to do a lot of practice. And anybody that is an expert, anybody that is a, like you said, entrepreneurs and consultants and solopreneurs, they can all do this. Anybody can do this. I mean, we are on Zoom every day already. I mean, we're talking to our clients. We're talking to potential clients, sales calls. Maybe we run works. People probably run workshops. There are people that tell you that they can't and they're afraid to go on camera, but they run a workshop for their clients.
Mm.
People come on interviews and do
Yeah.
podcast interviews. This should be the foundation of everybody's content.
Yeah, and what shocked me, particularly about the guys who said no, I really wouldn't have had to share, was these are people I know and I know pretty well, and I'm thinking like I've been in social settings with you, I've been in professional environments with you. You're impressive, like some of these people. One of the guys I've seen stand up and talk, and I've told him, "Guy, you really impress me when you stood up and talked to that group." But we switch on the camera and you're this nervous this nervous ninny, and but again, I say it wouldn't surprise you, but it really surprised me. And when you were talking there about this whole conversation thing, and I was thinking of as I started doing the podcast and selecting guests, and I don't classify clacks myself, but I consider myself an introvert, and I'm not one of these people that can walk into a bar and kind of chat to anybody. I don't have that skill. I have a wife who's incredibly good at that, so I delegate all that. I don't have that skill. So when I select people to talk to in the podcast, I will first. I mean, I will have looked you up on YouTube. I'll have listened to you, and it's not a logical thing. It's an instinctive thing. I go if I sat down beside you in a bar or I sat beside you in an airplane, does this seem like someone I could have an interesting conversation with? And if I instinctively go, I could have a chat with this guy, we've interesting things to talk about, then I know I can have a good conversation. Um, but a good conversation then I think is much more interesting to the listeners than if I have the 10 top questions I should ask Danny, because now I'm ignoring you, by the way. I'm just going through my questions, and it lacks authenticity. And I, it seems. I don't want to get into. I think when we become natural at this, it's simpler than people expect it's going to be.
Absolutely. And most of my clients that have been nervous coming into like their first film session are actually very surprised at what the outcome is from the first session. um, because they're just like, oh, that was easy. All I did was just talk to you, right? And the reason that like I can do this well is because I've done a lot of research on these people prior to going into the conversation. I've had a one-to-one
Yeah.
conversation with them, and in that one-to-one conversation, I have intimately got to know them and their business. I ask questions around
Mm.
like, who their target client is and what are some of the big wins that they've had with their clients, and like, what are some of the big questions that they get from their clients. And I really work to like understand that person's business, and then at the same time, then I research that industry that they're in. I research their target market and like what questions are they asking and what are they paying attention to, right? Because then we can kind of reverse engineer the the questions that that you're getting to make sure that when you ask people, when you interview people for content, or when I interview people for content, I'm not trying to stump you. I'm trying to make you
Yeah.
look good here,
Yeah.
right? So like if I'm just asking you questions that like you're used to answering all the time for your clients, like you're not going to be nervous to answer them. And that's the big
Yeah.
difference.
And you get to, I'm going to say you get to reveal yourself then. But most founders and business owners are in that business, if they're successful in that business, because a few reasons. One is because they're very passionate about it, and they're also very experienced about it. And if they're successful, they've helped lots of people. And so I suppose all you're trying to do is get that out, as you say, as opposed to a pitch. I know one thing you're saying is, do you think this is now a much more, it's kind of not advertising, but it seems like it's a much more powerful form of advertising than me just stick, I don't know what advertising people do now, but this seems to be non-advertising and yet somehow much more engaging.
Yeah, 100%. And I wouldn't say that it's free advertising. Basically, that's what it
Yeah.
is. Like every social media video that you create, or every piece of content that you create and put it out on the internet, whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or whatever, right? Every single piece of content is like a free advertisement for you and your business. And you don't need to go and tell people like I have this program and I this is the program that we do and this is how it works. No, that's not what works. What works is like tell me what you are doing for your clients. Tell me what your clients are doing. How are they winning? What problems are they encountering, and how are you guys facing those problems together? And that just helps people to understand a little bit about how you work and like
Mm.
what your capabilities are. And you don't need to really like advertise, because most people don't really want to advertise themselves. Most people are very
Mm.
adamant about not doing self promotion. I never ask you to promote yourself ever. That's not part of what we do. The goal is to
Mm.
build credibility, it's to build trust, it is to build connection and to show that you have expertise, that you have knowledge and expertise that could potentially help somebody. And when somebody sees you over and over again, at some point, something that you say is going to be like, that is what I need. That's exactly what I need. And that's when people will start to raise their hand and reveal themselves to you. And that's when you start to get inbound leads from content. But it's
Yeah, you said something very interesting there. You said, um, I think you said trust. It was you're building trust. You're
connection,
building
credibility,
connection.
familiarity.
Yeah, and fundamentally, it's that old saying: everyone loves to buy, and no one wants to be sold to. And we buy from people we trust, we like, we feel are credible. And it seems that when you listen to someone talk, I suppose it's exactly like what I said to you earlier about getting people in the podcast. I often get names sent to me. Would you interview this? Would you interview this client of mine? Blah blah, from marketing companies and book companies, etc. It takes me about 60 seconds on video to decide whether I will or not, because once someone speaks and we can tell, and I don't know how it is, but you can tell very quickly whether you have a connection with someone. And I think that's what it's given people the opportunity to do. It's to reveal themselves. It's to show themselves. And then, as you rightly say, some people go, I wouldn't like to work with that guy. And some people go, do you know, this guy, Danny, I could, he seems like he understands this, and he seems like he'd be an easy guy to work with. And that's, what more is it
Exactly.
you
And
want?
and when I get on a sales call with people, like typically one of the first things that I hear is, "Oh, Danny, I feel like I know you already." Because when I
Yeah.
pop on the
Yeah.
call, I look exactly the same as I look in all of my videos, right?
Mm,
So I kind of have this
yeah.
signature look. I wear my hat a certain way, right? And it's very intentional. It's
Yeah.
it's definitely attracts the right people to me, right? It repels some of the wrong people to me as well. So that's
Yeah.
another thing. That's another good thing. It does filter out some of the people that I probably wouldn't really vibe with anyway. Some
Yeah.
people look at the whole, kind of hip hop look that I have and say, oh, that's just not for me. And that's great. Like
Yeah.
we probably wouldn't vibe working together to begin with. But
Yeah.
people come on these calls and they're kind of pre-sold already because
Yeah.
they know what I do. They know I'm an expert. They already feel some kind of connection and rapport to me. And typically when you jump into a sales call as with somebody that you've never met before, defenses are high. And like when I get on a sales call, the defenses are already down. I don't have to break down
Mm,
the defenses. I don't have to build that rapport and do that kind of fake chit chat that people try to do at the beginning of a sales call to break down the
mm,
defenses.
yeah.
It's already done. All I need to do is understand whether they have a problem. I ask them questions, which I'm a good interviewer, so I'm good at asking questions, right? Um, I learn if they have a problem, and then I just show them how my service can solve that. And it's very
Mm,
simple. And then I say, and if you feel like, and at the beginning of the call, I say, and if you feel like it's a good fit, and this is something that might help you, then we could talk about pricing and next steps.
yeah, but you said something there I think is really important. You said that when you get in a sales call, they feel like they know you, and that's because they largely do know you. And I don't know what the statistics are. I'm no expert in marketing, but they say that people, there's a certain amount of your content that people have to consume before they drop into this level of trust. I don't know what it is. Maybe a certain number of hours, and once people consume that level of content, they feel they have this connection and know you. So if someone has listened to your podcast or spent, 5 or 10 hours consuming your stuff, they bloody well do know you. Okay, they don't know your personal life, but professionally, you've been in particularly if it's a conversational style. Because if I bring you on here and I say you make a presentation, now we're seeing this is what Danny wants to present to us. But if we have a conversation in how you engage with me, they get a sense of who this guy is. So I mean, that is the thing. People do know you, and I think the great thing about that is that you talked about filtering people, and I think people forget that we want to attract to us the right audience and we want to repel the wrong audience. Because otherwise, you're going to waste half your time on Zoom calls with people going, this guy's never going to work with me. By the way, I don't want to work with him. I don't want to
Yeah.
work. I mean, I mentor CEOs and founders sometimes, and sometimes I get asked if I will work with companies, and I go, no, I don't work with
Mm.
companies. What do you mean you don't work with companies? No, I work with founders. I'm not interested in working with companies because that's just don't.
Yeah. Got
I'm
to
not
get through
interested in
the
that shit.
corporate red
But if
tape and everything.
yeah, I mean, I don't need your money, and I'm not interested in that. So I only do things I want to do now at this stage of my life. I work for companies. But if a founder who connects with me wants to work with me, that's a different thing. So that has me filtering out bullshit. And for all of us, I think we want to do that. We want to narrow in to those clients who really connect to us, who really get to know us, and that's a one. It's just a wonderful tool. But back to my early question, what's the fear? I mean, because I say I'm stunned, but is it? Because I think two things. We've been talking about this for 20 minutes, and there's got to be people thinking, shit, he's talking a lot of sense, this Danny guy. He's making it sound so easy. But there's probably they're probably an unease as to whether or not they're going to go back to their office and switch on the camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there
There's
is
another.
is is there an
Yeah, there's
insecurity?
another
Yeah.
thing that holds people back too, is that there's a comparison is the thief of joy, right? Right.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So what
yeah,
happens is that people compare whatever their first attempt at a video to whoever their favorite video creator is, right? So let's choose Hormo.
yeah.
Yeah,
With a whole team, and he's been
let's
doing it for
choose
5 years.
Hormozy, right? Like everybody
Yeah,
knows
yeah, yeah.
Hormozy. He's this big entrepreneur influencer type who's done probably tens of thousands of videos on social media, right? And
Yes, yeah.
that's
And
and
there's a
has a
whole
whole team
team.
that helps
Yeah,
create those videos. Or Gary V,
yeah,
same thing, right? Like one of these guys.
yeah,
And
yeah. I
basically
agree.
they look at
Mm,
these guys' content and they're like, I want my videos to look like that. I want my video
mm,
presence to be like that, right?
mm,
And when they make a video for the first time, they're comparing it to somebody else who's done 10,000, 20,000 videos. And it's like, you're not comparing apples to apples here. So a lot of times, what I do is I tell people, go, whoever your favorite video person is, whoever that, I want to know who that person is, because that's the person that you're going to compare yourself to. Just naturally, that's
mm,
what people do, right? So what I'll tell that person is, I want you to go back, way back, and I want you to find that person's first video. And I want you to
mm.
compare yourself to that, because that's what you should be comparing yourself to, right? So that's one of the things, like, that's in people's heads too. Then there's
So that's really hard not to do.
It's hard not to do,
It's
but
re- it's hard not to do. Yeah,
when you start to when you go and actually do that exercise, when you actually go and look
yeah,
at Hormozy's first video or something, you'd be like, oh, you know
yeah.
what? I'm going to give myself a little
There's an
grace.
as a podcast, there's another interesting story I heard about Harmozy, and again, I can't remember the specifics, but I think he had started off a podcast and something, and had done maybe like 100 episodes before going, no, this is not the thing. I need to talk whatever the line. I need to shift this in a different direction. Um, the lesson for me as a baby podcaster is, but if he'd never done those first 100 episodes, probably sounding terrible in a way in the genre that he ultimately decided wasn't the right one for him, he never would have graduated. To that's
Yeah,
this is the point. You have. I don't know who has said. Are you willing to suck long enough to
yeah,
be great? That's the
yeah. And
question.
there's just fear of judgment too. There's just fear of, like,
Yeah.
if you're,
But by the way, you will be judged.
yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and the other thing is that people think that if they get on video, now all of a sudden they have to be an influencer, right? It's
Mm.
like, I'm this, and like, it's like, and there's a very big stigma when it comes to the word influencer. I was at a conference recently and I spoke at the conference, and I think there was about 150 people in the room. and I asked them, you know, who kind of resonates with the term content creator, right? And a good amount of people raised their hand that they resonated with that term. I said, who resonates with the term influencer? Zero hands went up. Nobody wants to be an influencer. There's a stigma about what an influencer is. And when people create video content, there's this feeling that's like, oh, I got to be this big influencer now. And that is like, that's so far from true. The best people and my best clients are the people that don't have a big audience and don't care.
Yeah.
Because I'll give you a really good example. My guy, Phil is he runs a marketing company for home service businesses. So plumbers and HVAC and electricians, that kind of thing, right? And I mean, man, this guy, he's one of the best. He's one of the best in the country at running marketing for these types of businesses. And he has about 2 or 3 thousand followers on LinkedIn, which is like the main platform that we create content for, because that's where we get the most bang for our buck. And he doesn't care that his post gets 400 views, 500 views, 200 views. He doesn't care because he's getting the right people. He's getting people that are in that home service industry. He's getting people that, could potentially become his clients or could potentially become referral partners for him. He has built a name for himself in that industry. And with his 2 or 3 thousand followers, he got to speak at an event that Gary Vee was the headliner at, and
Yeah.
he got a deal to go and to fly out to Vegas every 2 months and record a podcast with this company who is a home service, who builds like a software for home service businesses,
Mm,
and he gets paid good money to fly out there
mm,
every couple months and go and do these podcasts. And he gets a whole bunch of content for himself. He builds up his persona. He gets in front of a ton of ideal clients, but he just doesn't care when his video, quote unquote, bombs, because it
yeah.
doesn't bomb. He's getting the right eyes. And most people have this idea that I need to build this big audience. If I want to make money online and I want to attract clients online, I need to have this big audience. I need to have this big voice and this big following. And it's just not true. You can be a very niche service provider or whatever, like as long as you are talking to the right people are going to resonate with your content. They will find you. And if they don't find you, get your stuff in front of them. Start reaching out to those people. I mean, LinkedIn's great because you can find the exact title of the person that you want to work with, right? Their
Mm,
locations, everything, right? So it's like, hey, I wanted to connect with you. And as soon as you have that connection, now that person says, oh, yeah, great. Glad, happy to be connected. See ya. And then the next day, that person sees your video in their feed. And they're like, oh, that's the guy. And then they see another video
yeah, but
and another one.
this makes yeah, this makes so much sense because I mean, I have two bricks and mortar businesses, and I've had them for decades. We do almost no advertising. It's probably difficult to find this. But what we do is we know exactly the type of customers we serve. Well, we know exactly who they are. And so we target those customers and we go after those customers specifically. And we get calls, will you advertise here? Will you turn to this conference or trade show? And by the way, did all those for years. And then woke up one day and go,
Why?
why am I turning up to a conference, paying for an exhibition in the hope that random people come by my stand or whatever? Why don't I just define specifically who I want to sell to? Because I've sold to a lot of people. That doesn't work well for him. Works well for we work well for this particular sort of client. So why don't we just go and talk to them and then do the hard work it will take? And it can take us 12 months to bring a client on board. But when we bring that client on board, I have clients that no, my staff laugh when I say this. I have clients that I delivered to on a bike when I was 19 years of age. And they laugh, but it's true. So if it takes you 12, 18 months to really land and embed a client, but they will do business with you for decades. It's worth the investment. So what I'm saying is that I know that to be true in bricks and mortar business, but the logic is the same. I don't want need tens of thousands of followers. Maybe I need 10 people who are actually interested in doing business with me. And I think that's a really important point. Um, where's the starting point for someone on this? If we've managed to get across the point that you need to be on video, this is what you need to be on video, because it's the best way to build connection. You're not Tom Cruise. You don't need to perform. You need to be yourself, be authentic on video. And and you're not looking for huge following. You're looking to be yourself, reveal your expertise, let people get to know you. Um, what's the best way for people to start with
Yeah,
this?
so the first thing is like you kind of need some foundational elements before you get started hitting record.
Mm,
So number
yeah,
one is like you need to know where your people hang out, right? So
yeah,
for me, my people are on LinkedIn. I tend to work with B2B service providers, right? That's my
mm,
main audience, or so B2B solopreneurs, people that are on B2B, but that's so LinkedIn is my platform. But if your people are homeschool moms, then like
yeah,
Instagram is probably where you should be hanging out, right?
yeah,
Or like my friend Andreas, who his has a business where he helps people get into Ivy League colleges. TikTok is his spot because all those people, all that generation, that's where their content is. And he made a lot of money and built a giant audience and made a lot of business through TikTok, right? So that's the first foundational element is like where is my audience actually hanging out? And I need to be there, right? And then you need to make sure that you have those foundational elements there. So what does my profile need to look like? Because what happens is when people see your content, the next logical step for them is like, oh, I want to learn a little bit more about this person. And they go to your profile. And if your profile isn't very clear about who you are, what you do, who you help, and how you help them, then all the content that you're doing is worthless. So you need to have
mm.
that foundational piece built. You need a nice profile that tells people who you can help and how you can help them so that they look at your profile and they're like, oh yeah, that's I'm definitely going to connect with this guy. He's the exact kind of person that can help me. Um, and then you also need to make sure that when you start creating video content that you have intention behind all of it, right? Because a lot of people they just are like, I need to make content now because I know that I need this for my business, but there's no intention behind it, right? And when you make content, there's three things that you are looking to accomplish. That number one is you are looking to educate people so that you can showcase that you are an expert, that you know your stuff. You are a leader in your space, in your industry, niche, target market, whatever you want to call it. Then you need to build a connection. We talked about this. People want to
Mm.
buy from people that they know, like, and trust. I know that's the most cliche thing out there, know, like, trust, but it's true.
But it's true.
It's a cliche because it's true, right? So know, like, and trust. You need to build connection, and the way that you do that is by sharing stories, sharing your own stories. This is how I am approaching this thing. This is how I got here. This is a problem that I have and how I overcame it. Or sharing your opinions like this is something that's happening in my industry right now that I really don't like and that I'm scared of. Or this is something that's happening in my industry that I think everybody needs to jump on right now, right? Because when you share your opinion, what happens is you open people up to new perspectives, and the people that agree with you, they are like the most likely people to want to buy from you. And the people that disagree with you, you are eliminating them. You are weeding them out, and you are weeding out the clients that you probably don't want to work with anyway. So you need to educate, you need to connect, and then the last thing is you need to promote your business. And the way that you promote your business is just by sharing social proof. What are you doing for your clients? How are you working together? What problems do they have? Why did they come to you? And how are you solving the problems together? So if you talk about that, then people are going to understand that you can potentially give them the same type of results and tackle the same type of problems with them. So like you need to make sure that your content is covering those things. So the best way to start figuring out a like where you what to actually make content about so that you cover those buckets is through your conversations. The conversations that you are having on an everyday basis. That could be a sales call that you're on. That could be a client consultation. It could be a podcast interview. It could be a workshop. All the places where you are interacting, where you're giving information, you're giving advice, you're giving guidance. And literally right now, I am building a tool that allows you to take your conversations, take the transcript, because everybody has transcripts of everything now, because everybody's got Fathom and Zoom Recorder and all these other tools that you can record anything. And you can take these conversations, upload them into this tool, and it's going to tell you exactly what to talk about in your content. That's what I'm building. This is my big thing for 2026 that I'm going to be releasing is content on easy mode as a software instead of as a, right
Mm.
now it's a service. It will be a software as a service that people can use and take their regular conversations and turn them into content so that they know that they're not just posting something that they think is going to work. They are posting something that they know is going to work because it came directly from the mouth of their clients.
Yeah, because they're responding to what their clients are always talking to them about.
Exactly.
And clients you're going to find are in and arrange having similar problems, similar experience, and they want a similar solution for you. Um, when doing this, how important is the? I mean, do we need to worry about video production and all this sort of stuff?
Like the quality of the video production.
Yeah. I mean, do people need expert? Do people always need to hire an expert
Okay.
in this?
So I'm going to make a recommendation.
Is there a DIY
Yeah,
version
I'm
of
going to
this? I
make a
suppose is what I'm
recommendation for
asking.
people. Don't try to figure out and learn how to become a professional video editor. Right?
Yeah.
You don't
No,
you don't
God,
need to do
no
that,
way, no.
right? Um, the cost of like you outsourcing your video editing to whether it's somebody local or whether it's to somebody overseas is way better than the cost of the headache that you will have by trying to do it yourself or the cost of the time that you will take trying to do it yourself. So my suggestion to people is record your conversations and hand them off to somebody that can do the editing for you, right? Don't try to
Mm,
figure that out on your own. Let the professionals do their
mm,
thing. You got a business to run. You got sales to make. You got clients to serve. You got, operations to run, right? Don't take that on yourself. Really. Um, that's my best suggestion. Now, if you're just like bootstrapping a business and you don't have any money to spend, like zero,
mm,
then yeah, you can use a tool like Opus Clip or Submagic or one of these kind of things, which will help you identify clips um, and it'll look fine and it'll look sufficient because you do not need to have the best quality production in the world at all. um, what I do recommend is that you do have some quality production. If your production is
mm.
terrible, that's a big difference. Yeah,
People won't watch.
people look
Yeah,
at you and they're gonna be like, well, if his production looks like that,
yeah.
what's it gonna be like to work with him?
Yeah, I mean, if you look cheap,
Right.
it just it doesn't. But I mean, from personal experience, when I started doing the podcast, I was trying to do all the editing and all this sort of stuff myself. It's a
Yeah.
nightmare because unless you're proficient with the software, like it's learning a new skill, and then going, no, my time should be finding good guests, preparing for good guests, interviewing good guests, and when I finish this recording and press stop, I am done with
Yeah.
it. I mean, I will pass this over to someone who will give me back a finished version. I should not be spending hours doing that. It's just not helpful. It's frustrating, in fact. And what it does is and it's the same for every business. I think if I do that, it slows me from growing my podcast because it slows me from producing the content because now I've less time to speak to guests, and
And you don't
it's a
need a lot of equipment here. So like if you really want to get a good quality, a good quality video, everybody has one of these in their pocket, right? Everybody's got a smartphone in their pocket.
that makes
These
tremendously good
cameras are
quality.
insane. Like
Yeah,
there's literally these
yeah,
cameras are shooting movies now. There's like I read
yeah.
something that they just filmed a recent movie like that is out in the theaters. Like all they filmed the entire thing on an
Wow,
iPhone 16 or something like that, right? So
wow.
the camera that you have in your pocket is very well sufficient. And then there's two things that you
Mm,
can do to enhance the camera that you already have. You can have really good lighting and really good sound. And really good lighting, I mean, people look at me, they're like, oh, you have a really good lighting setup. You know how much it costs? Less than $100 to get this lighting setup. I have
yeah,
one light that sits opposite me, that faces me. I have one little lamp behind me, and then I have a floodlight which puts some color onto the wall. That's it. The whole thing costs
mm,
less than $100 for the three pieces, right? You
mm,
don't need to go
yeah,
out and invest like a ton of money and get all the state of the art equipment to have like good production. A microphone, you can use a lapel microphone. You can get that for as low as probably $30 or $40. You can get a decent one. Or if you
mm,
want to get a good one, $100, right? If
mm.
you want to, if you're going to do a lot of Zoom calls, get yourself a good webcam, get yourself a good microphone. Because when people hop onto your Zoom calls and you have good lighting, you have good quality, and you have good sound, you look more credible. Like I don't like when people
Yeah.
hop on the Zoom call and they got their blurred background. It's
Oh,
like,
I hate that.
right.
It
It's
looks
like, they're
and it can be distracting as well as
yeah, like
people
they're
move,
hiding
and
the mess
it's
behind
yeah,
them. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
no, like get yourself a nice setup. Like if you're gonna take consultation calls or whatever it is, like you want people to look at you and be like and take you seriously. So like make the investment in these things. It doesn't need to cost a lot of money.
I I'm thinking after all of this, probably the most important thing people can do is just freaking get started. And I was listening to you in another podcast, and you spoke about this practice of making a recording every day for
Yeah.
30 days. Can you talk to because I think as we come towards the end, I just think that would be, if someone took that away and did that, they'd be in a different place in
Yeah,
30 days
so
time.
anybody that's like a beginner to video, what I always tell them is to do a 30-day challenge. Give themselves a 30-day challenge, right? And basically, that challenge is every day for 30 days, just grab your phone and talk into your phone for 30 seconds, right? And all I want you to do is talk about something that happened in your day, preferably related to your business if the content is going to be business related. So it could just be, hey, I just came out of a client meeting and this is what we spoke about. Or it could be, I went to the supermarket today and I bought eggs and milk and, and I ran into my friend, right? So it's just every day for 30 seconds, talk about something that happened to you that day. And if you get into the habit of this, every day for 30 days, you're going to get a little bit better. You'll 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 get a little bit better. And then at the end, what I want you to do is I want you to go and watch video number 1. And then I want you to watch video number 30. And you are going to see a massive difference in your presence on video number 30 versus video number 1. And a lot of times, that's the boost of confidence that you need to just keep going and keep doing it.
I sometimes I recall, when I started doing the podcast, and I'm embarrassed now by the fact that that the early episodes are available. I mean, I'm embarrassed by the fact that they're. But I remember doing them. I remember getting to episode 100 and looking, as you say, at the difference between 101 and 100, and going, "Oh my God, should I remove all those?" But I didn't, obviously, because I think it's part of the learning journey, and we learn in public. But the two lessons for me in doing that, which I think is exactly what someone would take from doing your 30-day challenge, is one, as I looked at, wow, look how far I progressed in my podcast from episode 1 to 100. That was the first thing. And the second thing I thought was, where will I be at episode 200? Where will I be at episode 300? Like, if I can progress that much when I'm crawling, how much better can I get at this? And that gave me the excitement to go, oh, I'm up for this. And now I don't know I don't know what number this will be. Maybe it'll be, it'll be in the 140s, 150 or something. But I'm thinking, what will I be when I've done twice this many? And that's the excitement. But look, you just got to get started. And obviously, you're a great source of inspiration and advice for anyone who wants to get started. Where's the best people for try that again? Where's the best place for people to advise? See, we make mistakes even after 150 episodes. And I said to my editor a couple of months ago about cutting stuff out, and he goes, "No, I don't cut that stuff out." And he goes, "Why?" It's because I want people to listen to a conversation. And in conversations, sometimes we slip up and make mistakes. So all my mistakes stay in.
100%. I
So
do that to my editors too. I'm
yeah,
like, uncut. I'm,
yeah, yeah,
if there's
yeah.
something that, yeah, I'm like,
This
if
is
there's
real.
some,
Yeah.
if I'm
Oh
interviewing like
yeah.
really stumbles or something, and it's a different
Oh yeah,
story.
of course, yeah.
But for the most part,
Yeah.
uncut. And I'm
It's
somebody
normal
that's really
conversation.
needs to work on likes and ums and ahs, but it's leave that stuff in. It's more human.
It's how we speak, by the way.
It is
I
true.
mean, when I listen to myself, I could have that same thought, and then I go, "But this is how I speak," and so, like it or don't like it, you can always switch off. It's
That's
not
true.
it's not a big deal. Where can people where
Yeah,
can
the
people
best place to
find you,
find me is
Danny?
on LinkedIn. So Danny Delvecchio on LinkedIn, and also if you check out contentoneasymode.com, the app should be launched by the time this episode airs. We should have either the first iteration or the beta version up and running. So those are the two places, and
When do you expect that to be up
within
and
the
running?
next couple of weeks,
Okay, well, this episode won't go out until I think January
it'll definitely be up by
2026.
then.
So
Yes,
excellent. So good to go, and we will stick all the links in the in the show
thank
notes.
you.
And I think there has been a huge amount of encouragement, inspiration, and value in this. So, Danny, it's been an absolute pleasure.
No,
Thank you
thank you
so
so
much.
much for having me, Paul. I truly appreciate it. And I'm excited to listen to this episode and share it with my audience as well. I appreciate you.
I look forward to it.